So I suspect, given that that's dripping right there, that this is my problem one. So I've got the replacement. I'm going to go ahead and swap those out and see if that solves my leaking problem on the grapple. You ever have one of those projects that you kind of procrastinate for various reasons? This one is one I was originally really excited about. I'm still excited about putting rear remotes on my Kubota tractor. They also call them spools. So I'd have two spools mounting them back here on the ROPS, as they call it. I kept thinking, oh, I'll have the shop built. I can do this inside where it's nice and comfortable. And then I kind of realized that wasn't going to happen. Then I realized there's some plumbing issues that I have to do. I was a little concerned that if I get it wrong, that I blow something up in the hydraulics on the tractor. They have a thing called Power Beyond, and there's a return. And the way that it gets plumbed, I don't know that would damage anything, but there's that. But anyway, so I finally decided, well, let me mount the spools, or the remote hydraulic solenoid stuff, to the ROPS and kind of see how this thing would lay out. And then I've got the electrical part for the solenoids to do. But I think today I'm going to just at least try and get these remote mounted. So let me show you a little bit about what that is. Nicely enough, I was able to set up this table, and I've got a little bit of shade here in the chicken run, which we'll destroy when we start building the shop. But I brought everything out. These are all my parts. There's some bolts and such. So I need to mount that to the ROPS. And once that's done, hopefully I can start on the next phases of this. But yeah, it'll be interesting. So I almost gave up trying to put this remote spools on the tractor because I lost the manual. But I'm persistent, so I kept looking and trying to figure these things out. I think I got most of it sorted out. So let me show you where I'm at this point with this thing. So this is what I wasn't sure how they designed it, but I'm like, this isn't rocket science. I'm just going to bolt it on there. This, I think, might be too long, but as you sit in the operator's seat, maybe it's good. I can always cut it and shorten that later. But these are the switches for the solenoid for the remotes 1 and 2. So I got to run this wire back down around under the fender and over to the battery, which is conveniently located at my kick area. And then I've got a wire that comes across. And I'll kind of follow this line here, go underneath the top link bracket, and then up and kind of follow this general area up. And then those wires go into these solenoids, and we should be good. I think I need to change one of the ends on my hose. I put both males. I think now, as I investigated it with Joe over at Florida Coast Equipment, that I probably need a male and a female. So this is going to go to T up on my manifold, and P is going to come down to this line here that kind of goes down, and nothing is going to go in here, just like when we take the backhoe off. So that should all be good. Now I just got to wire it, and I got my zip ties, so we'll make it nice and tidy. Alright, just went in and washed my hands. Note to self, before working on the tractor, power wash it. Yeah, it's filthy. And so was I. So I got a lot done, and I heard a thunderclap and a little bit of rain, and then it kind of let up for a second. But I need to go to Lowe's anyway and get some bolts. This plate needs the other 2 bolts set there. See if I can get everything in the frame. Maybe not. So I need to get these bolts and some salt for to make brine so we can clean out the heavy metals water filter. But I got pretty far. Oh, and see if I can get some more cabinet hinges, kitchen cabinet hinges. Ours stick. They're supposed to like close and hold the door shut. These you kind of push the door shut and it kind of springs back a little bit just because they're old. But I got a lot of this done. Let me show you what I need to do still though. So I got the wiring done. I ran power all the way up through here. I just need to button that up. I got it connected into negative with these cool posi tabs. And there's this really weird thing they gave me to splice into a fuse. Kind of different. But I need to tidy that up. I ran this all the way underneath, not running into any of the mechanical levers, but I did run it right over the fuel tank. What could go wrong? And it comes out here and then snakes its way back up to the control. This one I'm a little, it is what it is. I don't know, maybe once I get this hose out of here, I'll be able to button that up a little bit better. I couldn't route it quite the way I really wanted to. But then it comes underneath the top link bracket over to here, then up to my solenoids, and that's all good. So really all I need to do is change one of these ends and replumb this, but I think it'll be easier if I take the backhoe off. And then I need to set up the top link because I got to have something to test. So I'll build the top link and the hoses so that I could plumb those in and run them. And yeah, that should be all of that if all goes well. Seems pretty straightforward. Not really sure why I was so hesitant to go through and do everything. I was a little worried about deadheading the hydraulics on this on the manifold. But Joe says, yeah, it'll just make a noise. Just don't do it for very long when it deadheads. And you'll hear it lag, kind of make a noise. So then just flip it and run it the opposite way. But yeah, oh yeah, I got to tighten up all the fittings. Some of my hose fittings are a little bit loose. But that said, we should be good. And then I can have a hydraulic top link. I'll have 2 spools out the back. Quite the high-end tractor. Anyway, I'm going to head over to Lowe's. So I finally got around to putting the 3-point back on here. I've ordered the right couplers so that I can get these fittings. Turns out my buddy can get me the same smaller, these are 1/4 inch instead of the 3/8 that are on the bucket. So I got that going, and I had the chipper all set up. I actually made some wood chips. Woohoo! So thing worked awesome. All the way up until, and it's supposed to handle up to 4-inch wood chips, but it was doing great until I threw this in. And this is maybe 2.5, 3-inch, definitely not 4-inch. But in the midst of trying to chip that, I get to learn about shear pins. So what happened is the shear pin kicks in when the wheel stops. It got jammed up and just yanks that off. So I got to go figure out how to get a shear pin, replace it, and then I can put this back in the tractor. I also had to figure out, well, after much scrambling around and trying to figure out how this stuff works, I got my remotes. So if I hit the switch, I can get this solid frame. Kind of see it. You get the hydraulic going down, that up. That's slightly noisy going down, but I don't know why that is. Anyway, I'm excited. So now I have 2 spools. And both spools should work. Let's switch the motor off. So I had much ado with how these are going to get plumbed. I had to get a bunch of different parts. I definitely need to get shorter lines. These are like way too long. Probably, these are 4 foot, I think. Probably 2 foot lines would work much better. 2, if not 3. So part of the trouble is this kit from Summit comes with these adapters, and they go from 5/8 to, or 5/8 O-ring to 3/8 JIC. And the fittings that go into the Kubota, so that fitting there, that quick connect, and the one down there, those are both 1/4 inch National Pipe Thread MPTs. So it turns out I could probably have ordered from Summit a 3/8 1/4 inch hose, and these are 3/8 inch hose here. Let's see if I can get it to focus. So 3/8 hose here that come from my my top link cylinder. So yeah, but I wasn't going to be sure how I could get from 3/8 JIC to 1/4 inch for the quick connectors. So I finally found enough adapters to go from 3/8 JIC to 1/4 inch NPT, and at least got it to work. I don't know why the hydraulic cylinder chatters when it goes one direction but not the other, but at least it moves. The other challenge I had was I assumed that these wires were in pairs, like this would be remote 1 and this would be remote 2. But as it turns out, they're paired with in and out. So I had to try and figure out, how do I rewire these so that I've got the right, over there on my controller, there's a 1 and a 2, so I have both 1 in and out going to the right solenoid. It was such a fun project. But at least I finally got it all figured out. So now I have 2 spools out the back of the tractor. They're using standard connectors, and I didn't realize how leaky these stupid things are. These old school connectors are just sieves when you unplug them. The flat face head quick connects are much nicer. They don't leak nearly as much. But now, so why did I do all this? So when you're using the box blade, especially, or some of the other implements, what you have is these teeth down here, right? And they're set at a given level all the way across. So we also have an inner blade, that's that black piece, and an outer blade, it's the lower back skirt there. So depending on what you want to do, if I tip it more one way, it'll dig the tines in and rip, and if I flip it the other way, it'll be better at smoothing. So depending on what you're up to and what kind of results you're trying to get, you want to be able to tip that. So the old way of tipping that was using this thing. This is the old top link, and it's just got threads. So you would go out and manually twist that and tweak the threads one way or the other so that you would get that pitch or angle to change on a box blade. Really a pain if you're like, well, I'm going to go forward with it one way and back with it the other way, and you're doing a bunch of back and forth. You end up just not adjusting it. Whereas with this, the rear remotes now, I should be able to drag one way and then tip it and go back the other way, and so forth, so that I can get a little bit more work done more efficiently. And it's nerdy. So I have a BX23S now with a third function valve on the front and 2 spool or 2 remotes out the back. So there you go. So if I get overly zealous, the other nerdy thing is this, you can see, is threaded, and it's for the side. So what that one would do, if I added a remote to that, or added a hydraulic cylinder to that, is sometimes you want to be able to pitch the box blade left or right? So you get it kind of twisted a little bit. For the most part, I think I'll probably run it flat, but if you're trying to do a drainage ditch, you might want to pitch it over one way. And again, it's adjustable, but you got to get the wrench out and you got to undo that. If I were doing angle stuff, I probably would set it and run for a while. Not like the top link where I'd want to go forward one way and then extend it or retract it and go back the other way. So Good times.